The siren tore through the silence of the early morning, sharp and unforgiving. No hesitation, no confusion. Everyone knew what it meant. Engines roared to life as buses rushed across the dimly lit airfield. Inside, the C-17 flight crew sat in silence, their faces hardened by routine and anticipation. When the bus stopped, they stepped out into the cold air, grabbing their flight bags without a word. Ahead of them, the aircraft stood like a giant in the darkness. Ground crews were already in motion. Flashlights cut through the shadows as mechanics moved with precision, checking landing gear pressure, tightening bolts, inspecting the wings. One team worked beneath the fuselage, another climbed maintenance stands to access panels high above. No movement was wasted. Every action had a purpose. The pilots walked past them, focused and calm. And they reached the forward section, climbed the ladder, and disappeared into the cockpit. Moments later, the aircraft began to come alive, systems powering on, screens flickering, switches clicking into place. This wasn't just another mission. This was something bigger. Not far from the aircraft, under dim floodlights, the paratroopers stood ready. Each soldier was fully geared, parachutes strapped tight, rucksacks secured, weapons locked in place. The weight of their equipment pressed down on them, but no one complained. They had trained for this, over and over again. A command was given. 2 columns formed instantly. Boots hit the pavement in a steady, synchronized rhythm as they began their march toward the waiting C-17. The sky was still dark, but a faint glow on the horizon hinted at the coming sunrise. No one spoke, only the sound of footsteps and distant engines warming up. As they approached the aircraft, its massive silhouette grew larger, more imposing. The rear cargo ramp was already lowered, forming a steel pathway into the belly of the plane. At the base of the ramp stood the loadmaster, and beside him, the lead NCO. One by one, each soldier was stopped. Quick, precise inspections followed. Straps were pulled tight, buckles checked, loose gear secured. A small mistake here could mean death later. A soldier with a loose strap was pulled aside, quickly fixing the issue before rejoining the line. No delays, no arguments. Then, one by one, they stepped onto the ramp and disappeared into the aircraft. Inside the cargo bay, the atmosphere shifted. It wasn't tense, at least not on the surface. The soldiers spread out, taking seats along the side benches or wherever space was available. There were no assigned positions this time, no rigid structure, just controlled chaos. Some leaned back against their rucksacks, adjusting straps for comfort. Others sat in small groups, talking quietly, exchanging short jokes, anything to pass the time. A few in the back pulled out a phone. Get in, quick!" They leaned together, snapping a quick group selfie with the vast cargo bay behind them. For a brief second, it felt almost normal, almost like any other deployment. But it wasn't. Not this time. Near the front, a soldier sat silently, staring at the metal floor beneath his boots. His fingers tapped lightly against his weapon, an unconscious rhythm. Across from him, another closed his eyes, breathing slowly, mentally rehearsing every step of the jump. Hook up, check line, step out. Don't think, just move. The aircraft vibrated slightly as engines powered higher. A deep, growing hum filled the cabin, shaking through metal and bone alike. The ramp was still open. Cold air rushed in from outside, carrying with it the first light of dawn. The horizon was beginning to glow, soft orange cutting through the darkness. Time was running. No one said it, but everyone felt it. Miles away, far from the noise of engines and marching boots, the command center was alive with tension. Large screens filled the room, radar sweeps, satellite imagery, live tracking data. Every movement in the region was being monitored in real time. The C-17 appeared as a small symbol on one of the displays. But everyone in the room knew its true value. Inside that aircraft was an entire airborne unit, fully loaded, fully committed, flying straight into contested airspace. A high-value target. Weather officers spoke first. "Wind speeds increasing along the route. Visibility remains acceptable. No major disruptions expected. Then intelligence stepped in. Multiple potential threats detected. Enemy air defense systems active in several zones. Increased drone activity reported in the operational area. The room fell silent for a moment. No one panicked, but no one ignored it either. One officer zoomed in on the projected flight path. Red markers lit up across the map, possible engagement zones. If they continue without escort, he paused, then finished quietly, they're exposed. That was all that needed to be said. A decision had to be made, fast. Seconds felt longer than they should. Then finally, deploy fighter escort. No hesitation this time. 2 A-18 Super Hornets, immediate launch. Orders were transmitted instantly. On the airfield, everything was about to move even faster. The order hit the flight line like a shockwave. Scramble, no repetition, no delay. A pilot broke into a sprint across the tarmac, boots slamming against the concrete. The F/A-18 Super Hornet waited ahead, Arden-powered and armed, its silhouette sharp under the rising light. He climbed the ladder in one swift motion and dropped into the cockpit. Straps locked, helmet on, oxygen connected. No time for a full checklist. Control, this is Ghost 1. Request immediate start. Clearance came instantly. The engines ignited with a rising whine, quickly building into a thunderous roar. The entire aircraft trembled as twin turbines spun to life, heat distorting the air behind it. The canopy came down, sealed tight. On the ground, crew members moved fast, pulling away chocks, clearing the path. Ghost 1 began to taxi. Behind him, the second jet was already moving. Ghost 2 rolled out from the hangar, engines screaming, pilot locked in and ready. He didn't wait, just slid into formation behind the lead jet as both fighters accelerated toward the runway. No wasted space, no wasted seconds. Ghost 1 reached the threshold first. He pushed the throttles forward, past military power into full afterburner. Flames erupted from the exhaust. The jet surged forward, faster, faster. Then, rotation. The nose lifted, and within seconds, the aircraft was airborne, gear retracting almost instantly as it climbed aggressively into the sky. Moments later, Ghost 2 followed. Same power, same force. 2 fighters now cutting through the morning sky, afterburners blazing like twin comets. They climbed hard, then leveled off, sliding into formation with practiced precision. A slight bank, a heading change, and then they were gone. Racing toward the transport aircraft already deep into its mission. High above the waking horizon, the C-17 pushed forward, steady, heavy, unstoppable. Inside, the hum of the engines had become constant, almost hypnotic. Then, a shift. Some of the soldiers felt it before they saw it. A presence outside. Near one of the small windows, a paratrooper leaned slightly, trying to catch a glimpse. And then, there it was, a flash of gray steel cutting through the sky. One of the FA-18s slid into position off the left side of the aircraft, close enough to see the pilot's silhouette through the canopy. Seconds later, the second fighter appeared on the opposite side. Perfect symmetry. Perfect control. The escort had arrived. Inside the cargo bay, word spread quickly. "We've got cover!" It wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. But it changed everything. The jokes faded. Conversations died down. But the mood shifted, not to fear, but to focus. This was it. A crew member moved down the aisle, voice cutting through the noise. "Stand up!" Benches scraped as soldiers rose to their feet. "Hook up!" One by one, static line carabiners snapped onto the overhead anchor cable. Each man checked the line in front of him, then felt the tug of the one behind. No mistakes, not here, not now. Gear was tightened, gloves adjusted, helmets secured. The jumpmaster moved toward the paratroop door. He paused for just a second, then pulled it open. A violent rush of wind exploded into the aircraft, drowning out everything else. The cold air hit hard, carrying with it the smell of altitude and distance. He leaned out, gripping the frame, scanning below. Terrain, drop zone, wind direction, everything had to be right. He pulled himself back inside. So looked at the line of soldiers, ready, locked in, waiting. He raised his hand. "Stand in the door." The first paratrooper moved forward. No hesitation. The aircraft leveled out. For a brief moment, everything felt suspended, like the world itself was holding its breath. Then, the light switched. Green. "Go! Go! Go!" The first paratrooper stepped into the open sky, gone in an instant. The second followed. No pause, no hesitation. Then the third, and the fourth. A perfect rhythm, 1 second apart. Each soldier moved with absolute precision. Hands on the line, eyes forward, body committed. Training took over. There was no room left for doubt. Inside the aircraft, the line moved fast. Boots slammed against the metal floor, then vanished into open air. Outside, the sky filled with motion. Static lines snapped tight as parachutes deployed one after another, white canopies bursting open against the morning light. The roar of the aircraft faded behind them. Now there was only wind and gravity. Dozens of paratroopers drifted downward in formation, spreading across the sky like a silent wave. Below them, the drop zone came into view. Fields, shadows, unknown terrain waiting to receive them. Above, the two A-18s carved across the sky, fast and sharp, guardians in motion. Within minutes, the aircraft was empty. The last jumper disappeared into the open sky. And just like that, the mission had begun. The ground came up fast, too fast. Parachutes cut through the early morning air as the formation spread wider, each soldier steering toward the designated drop zone. Wind pushed from the east, stronger than expected, forcing last-second corrections. "Adjust! Adjust!" Boots braced. Impact. One by one, they hit the allard, rolling hard, absorbing the force, quickly pulling in their chutes before the wind could drag them. No time to rest. No time to think. "Move! Move!" Voices cut through the air as soldiers released harnesses and reached for their weapons. Parachutes collapsed behind them, fabric snapping violently in the wind. The peaceful silence of the sky was gone. Now it was different, heavier, uncertain. A squad leader dropped to one knee, scanning the tree line ahead. Another soldier rushed up beside him, breathing hard. "So wind pushed us off target. We're not exactly on the DZ." That wasn't good. Not at all. More paratroopers gathered, forming small groups, quickly reorganizing. Radios crackled to life, fragments of communication cutting in and out. "This is Alpha. Partial regroup. Grid unclear. Bravo element, sound off." Then, a distant sound. Low, mechanical. Not wind, not aircraft. Something else. Every head turned. From beyond the ridge, a faint movement. Then a flash. Gunfire. Sharp, sudden, real. "Contact front!" The calm shattered instantly. Soldiers dropped into cover, weapons up, eyes locked forward. Training kicked in without thought. Return fire, spacing, positioning. Dirt kicked up around them as rounds snapped through the air. This wasn't a clean landing. They had dropped straight into it. And now, there was no turning back.